Welcome to the Low Country Revolutionaries, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of Charleston, South Carolina's vibrant entrepreneurial scene. I'm your host, Bill Bellott, founder of Veritas Exoscience, and each week we're spotlighting the boldest innovators from the Chucktown startup community. These are the visionaries pouring their heart and soul into the businesses that are transferring Charleston into a global hub of creativity and American ingenuity. Get ready for raw, real conversations with the trailblazers shaping our city's future. Let's dive in. I would like to welcome Michelle Paradis. She's got over 25 years experience in education, administration, and coaching. Michelle leverages her background in communication and leadership skills to partner with medical and business professionals and elevate their leadership abilities, effectiveness, and production. Welcome, Michelle. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks, Bill. Great to be here. I'm doing well, thanks.
Wonderful. So I don't want to say you're just a coach. What do you kind of do? It sounds like you do a broad spectrum of things in this kind of leadership area.
I am a coach. I am a former school administrator and high school teacher out of Quebec, Canada.
Nice.
So that's what I did before, and coaching is what I've been doing for the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay, that's great. And so I assume you're bilingual if you're from Quebec?
Correct. French is my first language.
Wow.
I'm from Ottawa originally, the capital of Canada, Ottawa, where a lot of people are bilingual. We kind of learn French in school and English. We just kind of catch it from the neighbors and people around because it's everybody speaking 2 languages. So it's really interesting. And it's as an adult that I got realized how lucky I was that I was born in that environment.
Right.
Because learning another language when you're an adult's a tough one.
It is. It's like I still, I've tried to learn several different languages, and I can get food and find the restrooms and that's about it. But don't ask me to carry on a conversation. I can tell you what my name is, Jim Appel, right. Guillaume, that kind of stuff. But that's about it. So what are you doing with you've got something in your bio here about you're working with MUSC. Are you working with them to help them from a leadership perspective? How does that work?
No. I'm working with some physicians from MUSC along with other hospitals. That's kind of like a funny story because when I started my coaching practice and I went to get certified as a coach, and you practice on people and that kind of thing. And then a friend of mine said, why don't you we have an event going on down here in Charleston for a fundraiser and they have a silent auction. Why don't you put three free, coaching sessions and see what happens? And I'm like, okay. And my dad, always the fun guy, says, well, gee, wouldn't it be embarrassing if nobody bids on it?
Oh my gosh.
And I'm going, oh my God, Dad, I'm so glad I didn't listen to him, because that is the only reason that I got into MUSC.
That's awesome.
I get after the funny thing is, after the 4 days after the event, a physician calls me and he says, hi, I'm a pediatric transplant surgeon. I bid on your coaching. And I'm like, holy moly, my first client is going to be, a pediatric transplant surgeon. It was really intimidating.
Yes.
But, it turned out fantastic. We're good friends now, coached him for years, coached his wife was a physician for years. And that's what got me in the physician realm and the physician niche, if you want, because it just kind of grew from there.
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from.
So coaches all have like a different style. Do you mainly do you focus on like a certain type of issue, or is it dependent on each client? How do you do your coaching? Tell me what's your style?
Yeah. The style is really I have no medical background, so it has nothing to do with teaching a physician how to do anything medical. It's all about leadership and self-leadership and how you show up. And physicians went to med school. They didn't go to business school.
Right.
More and more, some of them are getting MBAs on top of what they already have. And some have startups and some are, they're all over the place. But being in a leadership role is very different, where it's not just you. It's about, raising the waters, or all the boats, go up. And it's about using your ego that you need so much. Let's say if you're a surgeon in an operating room, but not letting it of you when you're making decisions for the greater good, and having it, get it out of your way. So um, developing the self-awareness of seeing what's driving you. So it really
Ah,
turns into self-leadership. What are you bringing to this meeting? What are you bringing to this conversation? What are you bringing to whatever situation's in front of you? And how are you getting in your own way? And how could you get out of your own way?
right, right. Yeah, and I can imagine, when you're dealing with folks like that, it's real easy for them, in a sense to kind of, dominate a conversation because they're an authority in that area, and they're, a doctor, and sometimes the best thing to do is to sit back and listen, and that takes some skill to figure out how to do that, I'm sure.
Sure, sure. It's all a question of, they work so hard to get to where they are. And then when they get there, new skills
Mm.
need to be put into place. And, we might call them soft skills, we might call them communication, and, how to, like you were just saying, listening and figuring out what outcome you want and who you need to be to get that outcome.
Ah, yes. I've heard that. I've heard that before. It's like I had I've done a little bit of coaching too, and I help people. I do some coaching more, I'll say technical, scientific type folks. That's kind of my kind of area. And yeah, we talked about it in this terminology of emotional intelligence. It's a
Right.
buzzword, but it kind of means like you got to talk in a style that communicates to the person you're trying to reach. It doesn't matter if you say something in the way you want to hear it. You got to say it in the way they can understand it.
Exactly right. And exactly right. And sometimes it amazes us, anybody, to see, well, that's what you said, and that was your intention, but they didn't receive it that way.
Right.
Well, anyway, I'm right because that's what I said. Well, yeah, but what outcome do you want? Well, I want this person, I want to be able to work with this person, but this person is receiving you in a different way, and they have their truth. So if you want to work with them, you might need to, look at how to go about it a little differently to get that outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's very similar to marriage, just in a professional
Yeah,
situation, right?
sure, sure, sure. Do you want to be right or do you want to be successful? So
Right, right, exactly. Do you want to be right or do you want to eat
stay
tonight?
married.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's really cool. That's really exciting. So that's a really interesting way to get in there through the raffle thing. So what kind of brought you from Quebec? Was it, did you come down here on a vacation and you're just like, hey, I'm just staying, or how did you connect to Charleston?
Well, actually, it was my ex-husband. He's an engineer and he builds sawmills, and his boss
Oh,
was bringing
nice.
a bunch of people, engineers, down to this around Charleston and St. George. And so it wasn't a vacation, but we came in here for his job, and I fell in love with the heat of the sun. I mean, I love Canada. I'm just over the winters.
Right.
And just loved the sun and the people. And for me, it was, I'm not going back. And he wasn't happy here. And anyway,
Yeah.
there, I won't get into my marital problems, but long story short, he's gone back and I'm here.
Yeah,
So
that's okay. We have all sorts of folks in the Charleston area. It's a wonderful community, and it's a very supportive community. It's a great place to start a business too. And
very much so.
how long have you been here doing the consulting, the coaching stuff?
Well, we moved here in 2016, and then I started my coaching in 2019.
Oh, nice. So you've been
Because,
going for a
I don't know
while.
if you want to hear the idea is I was here on his visa as a spouse because
Right.
his
Right.
boss sponsored him.
Yeah.
So when we divorced and I wasn't a spouse and he went back to Canada, I couldn't stay.
Right.
So I got an immigration lawyer, and one thing I could do was start a business. So I
Right.
looked into that and got attracted to coaching, and then got certified and went through the motions of everything, and got
That's
that
awesome.
done.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. It's like do it the right
Well,
way, you know?
yep, 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 for sure.
So how do you have like a set number of clients? Are you taking new clients right now? Where are you sort of in your business process?
I'm still taking clients. I've got a few things have, it wavers up and down,
Mm.
busy, not so busy. Some people, stay with coaching for 6 to 12 months. Some
Mm.
people stay for years, a few years. After a while, it's okay to stop and put into practice what, the habits and the mindsets you've created for yourself. So yeah, it's an up and down, different kind of thing. So absolutely, I've got room for new clients because everybody's got a different. It's not a one set thing. We discuss what would work best
Right.
and what would be most useful to the client in
Cool.
types of coaching packages. So
Are you is it usually like do you do usually like is it like a 3 month or a 6 month or is it a year? Or is it customized for every client?
it's customized, but you have to do at least 3 months because it's a process.
Right.
Coaching's a process. It's
Right.
not an event. It can't happen right away. It's training. It's training yourself and your mind to redevelop new habits and mindsets and ways of seeing things and ways of being that unique to practice. And you can't just do it once and then think you got it. It doesn't work. Like it just,
Yeah. I and
yeah,
I've
no.
found, just my personal experience is like you almost have to do coaching at least twice to really start figure out how to use coaching. So I've been through coaching myself several times. Like the first time I went through, I got I got hooked on it because I wanted to
Yeah.
do it, but I didn't get that much out of it. The next time I did it, I knew how to utilize the coach to help me kind of do what I wanted to do. And then it was like, whoa, this is amazing, right? And
Sure.
so it's a at least my experience has been also a learning experience about coaching and how to utilize it to help yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an investment in yourself. It's you committing to being open to doing things differently
Mm.
and opening to maybe your truth is not serving you anymore and some beliefs you have are just getting in your own way and being open to seeing possibilities.
Right.
And you don't have to do anything. A coach's not going to tell you what to do. That's not the idea. And there's a bunch of coaches out there. It's like anything else. You got to find someone you resonate with, someone who's not afraid to tell you. I say that often. You don't want a yes man or yes woman because that's just not going to help you get to where you want to go. You
Right.
want someone who has a profound respect and a profound is open to all the possibilities and seeing all the potential that the client has, and then challenging and keeping accountable, but always in a way that's useful and that the client goes into. That gets because the client's the one that the premise of coaching is like you have all the answers. The coach is going to help you
Mm.
find them inside there and get
Right.
things out of the way that might be blocking. And so it's kind of normal. We're set in our ways. We learn things when we're kids and we grow up and we do things and we know what we know and that's very normal. So we
Yeah.
do things kind of like, we're not as intentional. But when you start looking at what can be possible, then you like I never thought in my life, like I'm a good example, never thought in my life I'd live in the sun on the ocean. Like never thought that. With no winters, it was just not a possibility in my mind. It
Exactly.
just couldn't happen. And here I am, like who would have went to bet on that in a million years.
Yeah, I would have never bet in a million years I'd be doing podcasts. So yeah, everything is possible. But
It
yeah,
certainly is.
it is about like you're saying, it's like sometimes you got to help people kind of get out of their own way, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
answers are there. I would agree with that. It feels like you're kind of helping them sort of discover what's already there, and maybe what they're afraid to do, and they just need someone to say, hey, yeah, well, why don't you try that and see
Right.
what you get, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was talking to someone this morning, a client who's quite a perfectionist, but now the perfectionism that he developed when he was younger,
Mm.
it's getting in his way now because it's stopping him from being effective and efficient in what he's doing. And that sometimes he's trying to be too perfect in things that it's not useful. But good enough will be good enough in this. And then you keep your perfection for your patients and so if the email you haven't read it over 7 times and tweak this and tweak that, but the
Right.
message is still going to come across, learn how to leave that alone. But perfectionism, like anything else, is a learned behavior that you develop forever, and so it becomes a habit. And so I tell you, you can break that habit. You just have to develop self-awareness and seeing how it's not useful for you to spend another 30 minutes on this, whatever
Right.
this is,
Right.
and learn how to let go of that and feel a little bit uncomfortable until it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
But you develop new habits.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, helping people to kind of explore some of these areas that are a little uncomfortable with them and do it in a safe way. It's
Sure.
like, it's like the whole perfection thing. I work with technical science people. I see that all the time. And, one of the things, because we're kind of geeky and all that, it's like, I say, hey, let me tell you, if you don't unbalance yourself, you can't move forward. And they're like, what? See, yeah, that's kind of how the human body works. And it's the same thing with perfection.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's something that you've created for yourself, and you can retrain yourself to, do what will give you the life you want to live.
Yes.
Because right now with the perfectionist, it's causing him to be overwhelmed because he's trying to be perfect at all the hats under, that he's wearing, and it's not useful and it's not working.
Right. Yeah. And we had I didn't know it at the time. You look back 20 years ago and you're like, oh yeah, they sort of taught us this thing, but you didn't know it at the time. It's like, I was in engineering school and they taught us about in a weird way, but they taught us about what's called the law of diminishing return, which means, you get a lot of impact about this first 60, 70% of your effort. And then that last, maybe 20, 30%, you're just wasting time. It's not, the amount of change in it is, and as we say, another way is you're doing happy, glad stuff. You're like, oh, you like the word happy. Oh no, you like the word glad. It's like, stop.
Yeah.
Perfectly
said. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, realizing that and catching yourself, but that's the whole point. Stuff like I said to him, the wins are going to be mental wins. You're going to catch yourself and go, oh, and you're going to catch yourself again and realize it and then do it differently. And every time, that's where the coaching comes in and the new habits come in. They're not big things that,
Yes.
it's really just little things that you change consistently that make it that you are intentional about where you're going.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that coaches are great at doing is helping people learn awareness
Yep.
of what they're doing, not so good, but also what they're doing good. And
Absolutely.
I think that's a super powerful thing because, the best way, again, my opinion, best way to train is to catch. If you can catch somebody when they're doing something good and say, remember how that feels. Do that again for that feeling. And it sort of self-reinforces after a while,
Sure. That's absolutely.
Really,
and that self-judgment, you got to be careful,
Yes.
It's not the truth. You have to get away from believing your thoughts.
Right.
Because your thoughts occur to you, but they're not the truth. We spin stories in our head based on random thoughts we get, and they hurt us more than anything else.
Well, it's great for writing books and stories, but not necessarily for mental health sometimes. Yes, I agree.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So, and I think that's another part of this is like, I won't say coaching is counseling, but it's always good to say your words out loud to someone else. Because sometimes when you hear them, you're like, wait a minute, I didn't really mean it that way, but that's how it came out. What am I saying here? So it's helping them think about it.
Oh, how many people, the more they try to explain something to me and give me a situation, and they hear themselves talk, and they say that just hearing myself talk, I see how, this, I want it to be different, or I see how confused I am. And then that's where the coaching comes in with digging even deeper into what's confusing and what's it bringing up and what's going on. Yeah. So it's very useful.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like I always tell the story about Richard Feynman, who's a famous physicist, and he always had this saying of like, if you can't explain it to someone else, you don't understand it either.
Exactly.
That's a paraphrase on what he said, but yes, it's that sentiment.
Yeah, for sure. You master something if you can explain it to someone else, for sure.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
that's what. Yeah, and that communication, even with surgeons and they're in a teaching hospital. And I said, well, do you put your thought process, do you put it out loud, or do you assume that they know what you're doing and why you took that particular, whatever it is you did? But people can't read your mind. So, it's communication is just so key.
Yeah. Some people think they think very loud and assume
Yeah.
everybody knows what they're saying.
Yeah. Well, we all do it. We
Yes.
we take things for granted that seem that they're easy for us or they're obvious for us, and we don't realize how much they're they're not for others.
Oh, I get that all the time. I'm guilty of that, and it's like, oh, of course you should know to do this. How would I ever know to do that?
Yep. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
So you've been doing this for a while here. What advice would you have for other entrepreneurs out there in the Charleston community, just getting going, just getting their toe in the water, thinking about maybe doing coaching or some other thing?
Consistency for one thing. If you take up something, be consistent with it and don't try it 3 times and say it doesn't work and throw it out and then focus on something else. Get yourself either a coach, a mentor, someone. Don't do it by yourself. Have someone help you, see things that you can't possibly see. And be careful of everything that's out there on social media, because it's very, very easy to feel like you're really not good at this, and what's out there makes you feel so small because everybody seems to be making 6 and 7 figure, year businesses, and they're like a dime a dozen out there, when it's not true.
Yeah.
So be true to yourself and don't let yourself get overwhelmed by that kind of stuff, because it's not true.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah, that's great advice. It's like to be true to yourself, and don't let the marketing campaigns influence you in a negative way. That's awesome.
no, because comparing is your worst enemy. Don't compare yourself, because you just can't. It's not the same. Everybody starts at a different place, has different, strengths, and sometimes luck comes in for walks in someone's door. Like, my silent auction, if that physician had not bid on that, like that just changed my whole life.
Yeah.
So that was luck.
Yeah.
But I put myself out there. So put yourself out there.
Yeah, I often find luck is built on, a lot of work up front.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this is awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. This is great. I've really enjoyed talking to you. So people can reach you through your website. Is that the best way to get a hold of you and get a hold of your services?
It could be. LinkedIn is probably the best.
LinkedIn?
Getting me on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Everything's there. And thank you so much. It's been quite a nice talk to have. I love talking about this, and you're good at your podcasts. You're good at it.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm practicing every day. And I'd love to have you on again if you want to come on and talk about what you're doing or talk about a particular topic. It's always good to share this and get the word out about how the services you're providing can help others kind of excel and grow.
Great. Thank you so much.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Low Country Revolutionaries. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the fearless entrepreneurs making wave in Charleston's Chucktown Startups community. I'm Bill Bellot, and it's been an honor to share these inspiring stories with you. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a spark of low country innovation. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.